Hi, this is Manal. Welcome. Welcome to today's meditation. I'm really excited for you to join me here today. And today's subject is one that I know that all of us have and may consume all of us at one point or another. And that's a bold statement, but I guarantee when you hear what today's subject is, you'll agree with me. Today's subject is on thoughts and how to refocus our thoughts on thoughts that serve us. Many of us want to stop our thoughts or get rid of our thoughts, and that has resistance in it. Anytime there's resistance, there's judgment, there's anger, there's an element of resistance that you have towards the thoughts and towards yourself, which ultimately doesn't serve and doesn't empower you to let go of the thoughts. So I'm going to offer how it might be more compassionate towards you and your thoughts to ultimately guide you towards refocusing your thoughts in a way that ultimately empowers you. And thoughts are really important. All thoughts are important. And the way you think is very important. And since you're in this medium and you're in an insight timer, I know that you're fully aware of that. But the human journey that we collectively have isn't about knowing that it's important what we think and how we think. It's ultimately really embracing the tools and the ability to have the thoughts form in what serves you. And what I will offer is compassion is a main element of that. For those of you that follow me, you know that I have a series of, I'll call them steps, but I don't like calling them steps, but I'll call them steps for now. With respect to how to deal with resistance is one, you always have to become aware. You have to become aware of the patterns. You have to become aware of what you're doing. You have to become aware of the resistance that it creates within you. So during our meditation, we will have a component of awareness, because awareness is the first step that ultimately leads to any growth. Self-awareness, awareness of others, awareness of triggers, awareness of your thoughts. One of the most powerful elements. It always has to start with awareness. Second, acknowledgement. What is the deeper why? Why are you thinking these thoughts? Why are these thoughts consuming you? And I can guarantee you in there's a pattern, and that pattern might be self-judgment, shame, guilt, fear, any one of those resistance. And so you're conditioned to having that judgment against yourself. And once you're conditioned for that, your thoughts will loop. Once you become aware of your thoughts, aware of the feeling of your thoughts, and acknowledge why, that leads you to the next, which is about appreciation, compassion, the heart, recognizing that the human experience is lending itself towards us learning and growing and understanding. And so ultimately, these series is like, oh, now I see. Instead of judging myself, instead of getting angry at myself, instead of getting angry at my thoughts, let me recognize that this is just a growth. We don't yell at our children for falling when they're learning to walk. It's okay for me to sometimes have thoughts and recognize it and shift it. And the power is in the focus. The power is in the compassion. The power is in how you hold yourself when you recognize that, hey, these thoughts don't serve me. And instead of myself and shaming myself, I'm actually going to recognize that this is leading me to the path of growth. This is leading me to the path of expansion, and having that compassionate love, because compassion, love, the heart is ultimately the tool to freedom. It's the tool to self-worth. It's the tool to acceptance, to trust and flow. It always comes back to the heart. After you become aware, acknowledge, appreciate, this is where the best one is to release, to let go, to be able to let go of the thoughts, to be able to let go of the resistance that's associated with the thoughts and to let you sort of feel that freedom from that consumption. And sometimes immediately you will let go and it will be gone and you will move on with life. And sometimes it's going to be a pattern until you ultimately awareness, acknowledgement, appreciation, let go, until ultimately you're free. And again, the intention is to have no judgment on the length of time, no judgment on yourself, no judgment on your capabilities, but again, compassion and recognizing this is the human experience. This is the human journey, that you may have been conditioned from day one to think this way. Your parents may have been conditioned from their day one. Their parents' parents have been conditioned since day one. And just because today you're aware and acknowledge and appreciate doesn't mean that you're going to let go of years of conditioning. Or today is the day that you will. The whole point is not to have a judgment on yourself, not to have a judgment on time, and just to allow. And then finally, surrender. Whatever it is that you're meant to acknowledge, the deeper why, the shame, the judgment, the guilt, it's surrendering back to the universe and ultimately going back to a place of peace, trust, acceptance, and finding a way to just get back into alignment with what is, with your authentic truth, with your inner world being aligned with the outer world. There's so many ways that I can say it, but basically surrendering back to the universe. So that was a lot, and hopefully now you are prepped with enough context to begin. At this point, we're going to start the meditation. Close your eyes and let my voice be music. Open your eyes, become comfortable. Whatever it is that ultimately lends you to your highest place of allowing. There might be noise that might come. Sometimes there's a helicopter pad close, and there might be, just allow that to again be noise and just honor the imperfection of what might happen. You might have a pet that comes into your room, a child. Honor that perfection is in the imperfection, and that your intention and our intention is ultimately to see how to enable you to refocus your thoughts in the most powerful, empowering way. And that's all that matters. And everything that we experience is ultimately going to amplify the experience and amplify your ability to focus. So let's get comfortable and let's begin. For those of you that know me, I love to start with 3 grounding breaths. Our breath is what we all do instinctively. And once we control our breath, it ultimately tells our brain, hey, we're going to start another pattern. We're going to actually start to work in a different way, and ultimately enables you to focus. There's also another thing I enjoy, the gap. I call it the gap between the breath in and the breath out. And that ultimately is infinite alignment with bigger bliss, peace, excitement. You can name it whatever serves you. Nothingness. Take some special indulgence in the gap with each of your breath. So let's begin. Start with your first deep breath in. Enjoy the gap. And release. Take another deep breath in. And release. Take a third and final deep breath in. And release. Wonderful. At this point, become aware of your thoughts. What is your judgment on your thoughts? Is there a particular thought pattern that you fall into? Is there a particular judgment of your thoughts that you fall into? Are you aware of voices that contradict each other and believe in you and don't believe in you and believe in you and don't believe in you? Thinks everything's going to be all right, but then no, it's not. It's going to be all right. It's not. Just really become aware of how you're conditioned to think. If there is a particular concern that you have right now and that thought is consuming you, go ahead and think about that thought, but not think about the thought. Become a third person objectively looking you, thinking at that thought. Don't overindulge in the feelings and just really become aware of how does it make you feel? What happens to your body when you start to think those thoughts or loop through thoughts? Just really become of the physical sensations that your body might feel and the labels that you might give to this physical experience. Try to localize the feelings. Is it all over your body, your jaw, your head, your shoulders? I'm going to pause to give you the opportunity to explore. Wonderful. At this point, I'd like you to dig a bit deeper about the why. If you were to have a deeper understanding of what you're meant to learn or what your thoughts are actually revealing about you, perhaps it's really revealing that you have judgment on yourself, fear, anxiety, feeling out of control in the world. It's one thing to identify the thoughts or the looping thoughts. It really takes it to the next level to really recognize, oh, my thoughts indicate that I feel out of control and that ultimately I need to trust the universe. My thoughts make me recognize that I'm holding on to a lot of shame And I have to really learn to trust myself. And have to is a really poor choice of words. It really is what will serve my highest good, what I'm meant to learn, my next opportunity for growth. So just feel into the emotions, the feelings, and start to open yourself for any messages to allow you to understand the deeper why, to acknowledge what this cycle of thoughts is meant to serve you. I'm going to pause to give you the opportunity to explore. Wonderful. You may have received a message, acknowledged the deeper why, and wonderful if you have. And you may have not, and that's okay too, because you've opened yourself up. And once it's best for your highest good for you to understand and to see, I guarantee you, you will see. So no judgment on what you heard or what you received or what you didn't. It's all wonderful. It all starts with intention, and your intention is to recognize the why and to grow and to expand. And that intention will always follow. It will always allow at the time that's best for your highest good. And at this point, appreciate your desire to grow. Appreciate your willingness to look within. Appreciate your courage for vulnerability, your courage for self-exploration. It really takes a significant amount of courage and self-power to be willing to recognize that there's things that you do that you would like to change to ultimately serve your highest good, and just applaud, appreciate, and celebrate yourself. I'll pause to give you that opportunity. Wonderful. And at this point, you are primed to let go. To let go, to release all judgment that you have had, hold or will hold against your thoughts. Release any judgments that you may have and hold against yourself. And just release the resistance that you felt into, all of the physicality, the emotions, the feelings, and release. Wonderful. And at this point, surrender. Surrender to ultimately the clarity that this resistance has given you, your desire for freedom, your desire for peace, your desire for acceptance, your desire for love, your desire for unconditional love, your desire to be seen. Just surrender to recognizing that resistance is here to guide you towards your desires, and patterns are patterns because you haven't seen your desires yet. And today you've had the opportunity to really get in alignment with your desires. Surrender, surrender to peace, to trust, to self-worth, to love, to acceptance, to flow. Surrender. Wonderful. And at this point, I'm just going to pause one more time to give all of these concepts the opportunity to integrate and for you to set any intentions that you're so called to. I will pause. Wonderful. At this point, breathe in love. And release. Breathe in peace. And release. Breathe in acceptance. And release. And breathe in self-compassion. And release. Allow the light of the beautiful universal divine to enter through the crown of your head and to flow through your head, your neck, and your chest, and to anchor in your heart. Imagine the light of the pristine earth entering through the soles of your feet, through your leg, the base of your spine, your pelvis area, your abdomen, and to anchor in your heart. Feel the light in your heart just continue to expand and expand and expand through your body. Fill yourself with the beautiful light of self-compassion, of peace, of acceptance, of trust, and of flow. Wonderful. As I indicated at the beginning of our meditation, some of these concepts might integrate immediately, and some might take the length of time that's for your highest good. Just surrender to the process, be compassionate, let go of the concept of time. If a thought enters your mind or a loop that may not serve, recognize that it does serve, and recognize that it's serving your highest good. Surrender to the peace, surrender to your self-compassion, and find some empowering statements that ultimately you believe and are higher level than the thought that might be consuming you. For example, everything always works out for me. I'm protected by the universe. I know that everything always unfolds for my highest good. Find the statement that really resonates with you, that you find ultimate truth in. And anytime a thought enters your mind that doesn't, or that elicits or invokes a feeling that isn't as high as you'd like it to be, find one of those empowering thoughts that ultimately raise you back and become aware, acknowledge, appreciate, let go, and surrender. Really appreciate you joining me in today's meditation. I trust that you feel lighter than you did. You'll find, if you're not following me on Insight Timer, that I have a lot of meditations on conditioning and honoring our human experience and celebrating our journey, but recognizing that part of our journey is letting go of conditions that no longer serve. So I encourage you to explore my meditations, my talks, my courses. I have many that are coming up that ultimately guide you to the freedom, the self-worth, the liberation that you're looking for. I'm really excited to co-create with you. Really appreciate you being here today. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am honored to co-create with you. My love, always.